Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to be here again. We got another fantastic sponsor we're going to be talking to here momentarily, but I wanted to remind you that we are now talking about EP Mixer Los Angeles happening on Thursday, November 7th from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Nickel Mine in Los Angeles. I'm excited. Obviously, I will probably say that a number of times through these interviews. But I wanted to, I'm extra happy today because we have a fantastic sponsor. I've gotten to chat with him back and forth a little bit. He's got a great business running out of San Diego, California. So it's kind of interesting. We got to talk a little bit ahead of time about our different experiences in that county. But we have with us today Raul Diaz, who is the owner and I believe I want to say founder of RMI World Services, again operating out of San Diego. Raul, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for sponsoring the EP Mixer Los Angeles.
Good evening, Craig, and thank you for having me here. It's great, like you said, having the opportunity to talk a little bit before. It was great. It was great, and we have always, crossed each other in conferences and stuff. But
True.
thank you for having me.
No, man, it's all my pleasure. Um, yeah, it was. I find it funny when I said when I said to you, my experience in San Diego County was North County, like pretty much Del Mar, North Coastal County. So I mean, it's a little bit different than from where you are, which is deep south in the county, right on the border there. But we'll go ahead and well, instead of me kind of spoiling the surprise or the talk in that way, let me just put it onto you and say, hey, tell us about RMI World Services, tell us about you. Yeah, we'd like to hear more, whatever you think is relevant to what people should know.
Well, Craig, when you see my face, you definitely say this guy's Latino, right? And come across your mind. Well, maybe he's coming from Mexico or something like that. Well, no. Uh, RMI World Services started off in Puerto Rico because I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm like
Okay.
what we call it Boricua, right? Straight from the island. And around 10 years ago, I found here love and I found here family, right?
Oh, okay.
But I also found a niche, and that's what keep us here. And I'm bringing the company from Puerto Rico here. It was a great move. So because when we were starting analyzing that niche, we said I think it's perfect because we were just stepping out of the pandemic, COVID, and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe whoever was doing what we're doing right now, that they were just leaving because of what it was happening, right?
Sure.
And it received us and uh, uh, perfectly, right? Because we had that a great idea of doing what we're doing right now.
Great. So you weren't doing were you doing this type of work in Puerto Rico, or and then you just moved it over, and do you still have operations there, or was it just like, hey, we got to put our resources in San Diego?
Well, going a little bit to the history of who I am and how I came up with the idea, right?
Sure.
As Raul, as the professional. I'm a seasoned professional. I've been doing this, Craig, for I think the EP side more like 25 years, but as a whole, 30 years in the security industry as a generalist.
Mm-hmm.
So started off in hotels, wearing the code and
Sure. Yeah.
dressing up, doing security, the radio and all that inspired me to start reading, right? And I start reading about executive protection, and I picked up my first client, and I was able to hold it and keep it a baby for 5 years. So I was there with that particular client, and I learned a lot. I went through EPI in 2001, and after that, I said I cannot be or keep working for others because there's a different standard of what we're doing in the executive
Sure.
protection. So since then, I'm talking about 2.5 decades ago, talking about standards, it was like, what? What are you talking about? Well,
Yeah.
yes, we set up the standard and we created many years later after many failures. We into 2015, we finally created RMI World Services, thinking about the world, because that's part of our name, right?
Mhm.
And even though I was in Puerto Rico and living in the States, coming back in Miami, different places in Florida, I was always ended up in Puerto Rico because of the job that they call me. Hey, so my last job was working at a corporate security department in a bank. So, protecting the CEO of the bank, and then after my involvement in that bank, I mean, the company was there, but it was not like fully, operational, because I was in the bank and I like to be involved, right? So after that, I had the opportunity to start exploring San Diego, because I was meeting love and all that, and that's what put us here. But coming from that background, that's what keep us here right
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, gotcha. Uh, That and it's interesting because the time that I spent there, now I wasn't like I said, I wasn't down in that part, but and I said like I know a lot of people, but San Diego, I just did not. I don't know that I was searching for the work at that point either. Like I might have been on a little bit of a lull or something like that. So good on you for pushing through and finding the like you said the niche and filling it. Um, and so that's fantastic. So um, with that you know, we hear kind of where you came from, what you've done to get there. What is the next, like, what does the future look like? The next, 20, 12 to 24 months, 18 months, somewhere in there. What are you looking at? Is there anything exciting? As entrepreneurs, a lot of times we're like, oh, the growth, the possibility of growth, like that's exciting. With that, I mean, if that's it, that's great. But is there anything in particular that you're looking at that's coming up in the near future?
Well, before Craig, I jump into the part that you're saying, what is in the future, right, for
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
I must say, like a couple of years ago when I moved in here, right, like let's say 7, 8 years ago, uh, I said I think we can do stuff in the other side. So,
Okay.
and we started thinking, well, we have to expand, right? And so if I talk about RMI right now today, and if I want to talk about RMI, what has been happening is that RMI today, it's a family of companies. So we not only run RMI out of San Diego, RMI is in the largest states in the United States. We have a license to operate in the state of California, in the state of Texas, and the state of Florida. We also operate out of Puerto Rico. And from Puerto Rico, we also have an office in the Dominican Republic, where we operate as well. I mean, not super busy, because, like everybody else who have small companies, uh, we always say we're a boutique company, right? We don't get involved in large details. We don't get involved in that craziness, because we were there before, and I don't want to go back there.
Sure.
So, also one thing we're doing is support. So having the licenses, and having that approach to our clients, which sometimes is another company. Hey, we're here to support. We don't want to. Hey, RMI, we need a vehicle. We need three guys, one advance, a driver, and an EP agent. 3 days, a week. Great. We got your check, and we remain friends. So it's perfect. It's been working out very well with me, and coming back until we work today, we are expanding. So right now, currently, we are in 7 countries. So not only U.S., but we also, like I said, Puerto Rico, using it as a country. Or
Sure.
Dominican Republic. We also in the beautiful city of Santiago, which is in Chile. We have a
Okay.
full blown security company over there, doing very well. We're starting off the ground, but it's been great. So for those who don't know us, we're down there. It's far, but
Sure.
we're there, and
Yeah.
we have a very good and solid corporate footprint that run down there. We have a footprint in Bogota, Colombia. We are also have a very strong office in Panama City. Panama is growing. Everyone wants to be there, and and us as well. So we're there. So yeah, we've been moving a little bit. This has happened in the last 2 years, which is a short time. Usually business takes
Oh,
5 to 7
yeah.
years to grow, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we're on a good path, and that's what we have in the future.
Sure.
Pay more attention to those locations and make a growth. Not to the point that I'm going crazy. I'm going to go crazy. No, because like I said, I'm more in the support. I want to stay in the supporting role to other companies or to our clients, direct clients, and also make sure that everyone else in the industry knows where we are and how can we support them. That's the future of our money.
Well, and that's great. And I'm glad. I don't know anybody that goes to Chile, right? But the people that, for one, at least people at the mixer might, but then Colombia and like those are fantastic. That's fantastic to know, right? And I hope you talk more about that when when you're on site in LA next month, because I think people will find that even just to know that they know someone there, whether they need it now or not, but just to know that it's available. And somebody that they can look at in the eye face to face and have a real conversation about it. That's fantastic. So I appreciate you
And
sharing
Craig,
that part of it. Yeah.
let me interrupt you by saying that what you just said, knowing someone, and this happened to us on a weekly basis. So we live and we are here in San Diego County. As you know, we have our beautiful cross border with Tijuana.
Mhm.
So statistically, they said Tijuana is the most dangerous city in the world, and we put thousands of hours a year crossing the border.
Mhm.
So by you saying that, it is important because right now after COVID, companies start traveling again. Maybe not 100% because we're in the middle of the election and people are kind of what is going to happen.
Sure.
But after that, people are going to start traveling all over, and knowing someone like us, like we pretty much a one-stop shop for cross-border services. And I remember me saying about that niche in San Diego. That's our niche right now.
Yeah.
We have the resources, we have the contact with Mexican authorities and beyond. We know all the ins and outs of the Mexican immigration regulation, which is super important when you cross the border, especially the Mexican border.
You're
And we
right.
have the equipped vehicle because it's not a just go there to Hertz or any other company to rent a vehicle and just do the job, right? It happens a lot, but in our case, we own our own vehicles and they're equipped as security vehicles. The whole thing. I mean, medical. We have certain things for emergencies. If we need to move fast, we have siren. We have all the stuff that we put in our vehicle. The privacy of our client. We darken those windows on the back, and we have certain things that make our vehicle very well equipped for those type of mission. And like you said, knowing a company like ours that do it all the time, it's unparalleled because crossing the border nowadays is not safe.
Yeah. And like you said, it's super important going into a country. Like you said, especially Mexico. It's you want to know those finer points.
Yes.
You can fly by the seat of your pants, but that's not certainly not recommended when it comes. You can barely do it when you're just on vacation, let alone when you
Yes.
are, when it's because and we're not going to get into that, all the differences of that, but it's when it's business and when it's this business, you can't leave it to chance. And so good on you for having all those resources for yourself, which then get extended, I'm sure, to your clients and vendors and partners as they come to you. So that's great. Um, I wanted to ask, we talked business, we're going to keep talking business, but we're going to talk more from the perspective of what made you decide to sponsor a networking mixer like the EP mixer, and what are your goals for bringing professionals in the executive protection space together? Like what What would you like to see happen while you're there for you, but then also for the people that are the other people that are there?
Craig, I think it's critically essential to mix. We calling it now, right?
Yeah.
I've been mixing with professionals like for the last 5 years. I think it's a good feeling to know that there's more people like you doing it out there, and that they probably have your back, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's a service, whether it's that you just traveling through that city, knowing that you have that contact number that you can call someone, that's very, very important. And this is what it's all about. I think us coming in and sponsor the EP Mixer, uh, first of all, we've been planning to start off our marketing strategy. We're very, very bad at it. I must say, like I don't even know how people find us, but by the grace of God, they do, right?
They do. Yeah, sure.
We must be doing something right.
Yeah.
But yeah, as part of our plan to expand a little bit more, we need to network a little bit more. We're gonna need more resources. We're gonna need more people all over the place, right? Especially if you're outside U.S. operating, it's great to have those contacts. So us investing in a event like this, it's very important, and also for individuals looking for a job. I mean, in our case, we're operating in Latin America, Central America, so down south. So, like for example, that's when you met people. Hey, you speak Spanish, so it's a big opportunity for you. It's like being an EMT, right? Like
Hmm.
you don't cross through an EMT all the time. But
Uh-uh.
when you do, you're like, I want to have your number, right? Because it's
Yeah.
a set of skill that no one else maybe have, like maybe
Yeah.
10% out of the big group.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to go out there and as a company to sponsor this type of events. I think it's very beneficial for everyone involved, for the EP Mixer organizer, for us as a company, and for every individual we cross along those these events. I think it's and I will continue doing it because I think that's where the money is supposed to go. When you think about your marketing strategy, a percentage of it must be here.
Well, well, I appreciate the sentiment to that. And to I wanted I said this earlier. I said this in an earlier interview with the sponsor, and I want to kind of share it here, and I'll share it more. I get feedback, or have gotten feedback, I should say, from past sponsors, but then also other people. One of the questions that you answer when you register is it asks you kind of what you're doing there. Like, are you a company owner? Are you a company representative? Are you seeking employment? And then I think we have other or something like that. And so and if you are and then if you're a company representative or an owner, it asks, are you currently recruiting?
Right.
And so it's like, okay, yes, and so you can answer yes to that, right, or no. But if you answer yes to that, um, and then if you're seeking employment, that will then you differently. It just kind of how we pull the list offline. When we get it, it's in an Excel sheet, and I can separate it by but alphabetically. I can by where people are from, what do they do. But what I do is I section it off between currently recruiting and actively or seeking employment. And then is some people don't they see the value once you explain it, but I will make those who are recruiting a green, it'll have green on their name badge, and then who's
Right.
seeking employment will have blue. And so I'll tell people, and I'll do a video on it too. I put it on social. If you're there and if you have blue and you're looking for employment, look for somebody with green. And if you're recruiting and you have green on your name badge, look for somebody with blue, because that's how you identify and where you can get the most out of it. And when I did that, or when I explained that, when I appreciate that, when I explained that to people, they're like, that makes a lot of sense in the, for especially for where we are, because it's not just business owners, it's not just those who are looking for work, it's both. And that's how I think you can provide the most value, especially for sponsors who are more times than not companies that are looking to recruit because they're putting marketing dollars in, which hopefully, gets them attention, which, helps them grow. And then when you grow, you need people, and, trying to find that balance is always can be a struggle. But that's one of the things that we do that I get excited about now that we're doing it for just that reason, because I think just everybody gets more value out.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now we kind of hit on this, I think, just a little bit, but and you were talking about how it's valuable, but how do you think the events like this contribute to the growth and development of the industry? I mean, of the industry in particular, the EP industry, especially for those new to the field, new coming into EP, and whether they just went to EPI or ESI or La Sorsa or Pac West or any of those schools, or they're transitioning out of the military or law enforcement, or they're just they're coming out of, they're an engineer, right? But they're new to the industry. How do you think this sort of event can help them?
Greg, I think this event will help anyone either transitioning, like you said, from the military or law enforcement, or someone that is just starting a new career in whether it's executive protection or so, to find what is the right job for them. I think this is a
Yeah.
perfect place for that, because you will cross to maybe 10 company owners. And I'm sure every company owner have an niche. Every company owner is doing something different than the others. So as an individual, as a professional, and even professional students can start seeing that from distance and say, wait a minute, I see myself doing that. I see myself doing cross-border services.
Sure.
I see myself crossing the lines of the United States, going overseas. I see myself working nationally. Well, maybe I can travel a little bit, but I don't want to be away from my family. So I can see myself doing workplace violence, which is, it's hot right now.
Sure.
So interfacing those opportunities, where what companies are doing out there, it's very important and valuable for an individual. So yes, I think that's one of the best things of this event.
That's, I'll tell you, bro, I guess I haven't thought about it in the way that you just explained it, because it's like, you're looking for work. But I talk about it when I talk about networking in my it's called networking the advance, and all the things you have to think about when you are starting to play in your networking, like, why am I doing it? Like, for what reason? And so, okay, this is to find work. Okay, well, to find work where? With who? Who do you want to serve? Where do you? And
Yes.
so, but the way that you put it, I've never once said that to somebody's like, oh, this might help you decide where, from what angle you want to go at protection, because it might not be EP specific, right? It might be more like touring. It might be an RST. Like, hey, I'm good. I live where I live. I want to live close. I want to work close to where I live, and I'm happy to have people come in and out. And I check them off the list, and I do all the stuff for the residential team so that the EP team can do their team or their thing when they take, when they go off, or, and like you said, so I really like that, man. Thank you for saying that like that, because that's pretty that's a good one. I'm stealing that, just so you know. I'm gonna start
And let
saying
me
that.
add this also,
Yeah.
Craig, and I'm sure you know my feeling. When you read a resume, and the resume is all over the place, you kind of, wait a minute, what's going on here, as a recruiter. But when an individual expose himself to an event like this, and going back to what I said, hey, I have the opportunity to choose what's what's the path I want to take. That will give you the opportunity also to organize your resume a little bit, because if you spend a certain amount of time with this company doing this, you start to kind of specializing in that. You
Yeah.
either can build over that or just move on. So when you have an interview, you can explain it and articulate a little bit why you're moving on or why you're building on. So that's super important too, because people they don't think about that when they're organizing their career. You have to organize yourself,
Yeah.
and having the opportunity to again to be exposed to that, it's a great tool to organize yourself.
That's another great point. It's there's not. I mean, it's not that you can't have a career at one company, like the bigger ones, yeah. The ones that are growing, yeah, maybe. But but there's job hopping, right? They go from this company to this company to this company, but hopefully it's a progression. But also too, like you just said, like if you are, you focus in on here and you get your, find yourself doing whatever it is, what's the next step for you? And even if it's to manage that a team like you have, right? Or you become a shift supervisor or a detail leader or whatever, team lead, whatever. You have, like you said, you have to organize it yourself because sometimes it's just not. It's not, it's not an office job where you go from here to here to here, or you're a cop and you promote, that way, or the military the same way. It's like so you have to find your own path a little bit, and so that's cool. But anyway, well, listen, man, we're coming up on time. Is there anything out there, or anything we haven't said that you might like to share about RMI, about yourself, or anything like that that we've kind of left hanging?
Well, if any other security company wants to have the opportunity to get some support from us, they can find us at rmirollservices.com. Easy.
Okay.
It's the name
Yep.
of our company and .com. Uh, I usually take care of that part. So when a request come in, I try to do my best to take care of that. Get all the details the right way. We're
Sure.
always in like every other company that should be. We're in social media. I don't play around much with social media, but yes, we're on Instagram. Look for us. We're Facebook, all that. We want, not we want. We don't do much. We don't do much of a noise there.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but I think you're the expert on that. So I'm trying I'm trying to leave it at that. And I rather use your platform, Craig, because you're great at what you do in terms of marketing and exposing us. Uh, so yes, and bear in mind that also we are that support you need. Whether it's in the United States, we're a licensing company. We just pretty much a holding company, holding these other companies. And if you need the help out there, please rest assured that we can help a little bit. If not, we have the right resources to put it on your behalf.
That's awesome. Well, great. Thank you, Raul. Thanks so much. I know it's the end of the day for you. It's the end of the day for me. I know why, and it's not quite the end of the day for you. Yeah, I'm sure you got a few more hours to go. But I appreciate you taking the time and hanging out and having this conversation. It was a great conversation, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the sponsorship.
And thank you so much, Craig. Have a good evening, and I hope to see you at the night of the 7th up in LA.
Yep, well, I'll definitely be there, man. Thanks so much, folks. Listen, if you haven't registered for the EP Mixer Los Angeles, which is happening June 7th, I'm sorry, June. I do that every time. November 7th. November 7th. It's a Thursday from 7 to 9:30 p.m. at the Nickel Mine in Los Angeles. Head over to epmixer.com and we will see you there. Thank you so much. That's all I got. And I will talk to you real soon.